This podcast provides a platform for our guests to express their own personal views and opinions. Some or all of these views and opinions may not be shared by Ben and/or Yoel.
Welcome to the Too Dad to Quit podcast,
the podcast where we highlight stories of dads on the other side of divorce
to inspire and give strength to dads going through it.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Yoel.
Welcome back to the Too Dad to Quit podcast. You can find us on toodadtoquit.com. Too Dad to Quit on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe and rate the podcast so we can get the message out to as many people as possible. We want to share your story, so please reach out. And we are excited to hear your story, share your story, and have it help others out there. This week we sat with Uri Kelman. Uri is from Los Angeles. He has 4 children. He's recently divorced, and he went on a massive life journey and in 1 year, which can take people a lifetime to do. And he basically, he hit a very rough patch in his life right before the end of the marriage and decided, you know what, I'm going to go in and I'm going to figure myself out and better myself. And he basically turned himself into a completely new, positive, bright, enthusiastic, happy person.
Yeah, Ben, if there was ever a poster boy for this podcast, it's Uri. I mean, here's an example. Here's a guy, who definitely went through, he said it a few times. Nobody's going to say that divorce is not a difficult experience, but there's a gift inside of it in the sense that it allowed him to transform himself, to reinvent himself in so many ways, to a point where I can't even imagine what he was like beforehand. So I really enjoyed, this podcast with Uri, a subject matter close to my heart. We talked about meditation a lot. We got into a lot of spiritual stuff, and I think our audience is going to love it. I definitely did.
Yeah, and I also like that while he's doing all of this, he's the director of design for a massive startup, which right. I actually have an app. Yeah, an app that I have installed on my own phone. So I found him very interesting, very cool. This week, we are sitting with Uri Kelman. Uri is from Los Angeles and moved to Israel 6.5 years ago. He is 38 years old, has been divorced for almost a year, after 14 years of marriage, and has 4 kids from 14 to 8. Girl, boy, girl, boy. Uri is the director of design at a crypto company called Zengo. He enjoys hiking, hanging out with friends, cooking, and eating great food. He also makes it a priority to do daily meditation and practice mindfulness. So welcome, Uri. Glad to have you on here.
Thank you very much.
I was also going to throw in that you kind of look like Theodore Herzl, but
I've gotten that before.
So that something that popped out to me because we've never met in person. I've only seen you on like the chat groups,
right?
And that's something that I guess only a profile picture can do for you. But people say great things about you, so we're really excited to have you on here.
Thank you.
And so I don't know. Let's see. So you're from Los Angeles. You grew up there your whole life.
Yeah, so I was actually born right outside of Los Angeles in a city called Valencia, which is like the suburbs of Los Angeles, and was there. I grew up there until I got married, pretty much.
And what age? I guess I'm trying to do the math. 24?
23.
23. All right, I was close.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. And your ex was also from there?
Yeah, she was actually born in Los Angeles, but she grew up here in Ashkelon.
Oh, got it. And that's how you ended up in the missile capital of Israel.
That is true. The siren that we just heard for Yom Zikaron was all too familiar for us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Are there a lot of Americans there, by the way, in Ashkelon?
No.
Okay.
A handful, and I know all of them.
You and your father.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so cool. So your father came when? So you came 6.5 years ago.
Yeah. So my parents, they both came 5 months after made Aliyah. So
wow.
Yeah, I'm actually almost here 7 years because in July will be 7. So a little over 6.5 years.
Nice.
Mm.
And you were working in Los Angeles before you came? Like, were you
Yeah.
established, or your professional career was here?
No, I was established over there. I was working, I started my career as a graphic designer for a local magazine for 2 years. At that point I found Chabad and they um got me. So they got me to go to Israel for yeshiva, and I was there for 7 months. First I did
Wow.
birthright and then 7 months in yeshiva. And then when I came back, I met my now ex-wife. Did everything super quickly. By the time I met her, to the time we got married, it was literally 5 months.
Wow.
I wasn't working at that time. But as soon as I got married, I got a job and worked at a startup for 8.5 years until I made Aliyah.
Wow. Is that startup still around?
Yeah, it's actually pretty big. It's called Swagbucks. It's an
Okay.
online boards website that I was the head of design over there.
Wow.
Wow.
Awesome. So were you always interested in art, graphic design? Is that something that came in college, or you're a doodler for life?
I wanted to be a designer of some sort ever since I got my first computer. I was maybe around 10, and I got my first computer, which actually was a Mac before Macs were cool. And and immediately opened up like the stock paint
Hmm.
program that they had there and just started doodling and thought it was the coolest thing in the world to create digital art. For my bar mitzvah, I designed my own birthday cake or a bar mitzvah cake and my
Wow.
invitations, whatever, everything I designed. And then going into junior high, I found out that it was actually a career that I could do. So I pursued that in high school. There wasn't any graphic design program in my high school, so I did other creative things like photography, video production. I was part of the video production crew at my high school that produced the daily announcements. So I was able to do
Nice.
graphic design there. Went to college in Long Beach, California, at a place called Brooks College, which is no longer open.
Mm.
But I learned a lot there. It was an 18-month program and just started working from there. I love it. And I had a challenge for it. I had a knack for it. And then over the career, it went from graphic design to going into web design. Then finally now where I'm at was UI UX design, which I absolutely love.
Hmm.
Wow.
Can you describe? I mean, I've heard of the term, but just for our audience and somewhat for me as well. What does that mean? The UX design that you're doing
The
now?
UX UI means user experience and user interface. So currently I'm working for an app called Zengo, and I'm in charge of the design of actually the creative of the whole company, but mainly the design of the product. And I design the experiences, the interface of the app, and the actual like user flow and how things work within the app with the product team.
Yeah.
Wow.
So basically anything that you actually see, not the behind the scenes,
Correct.
that's the UI UX. So,
Yep.
you can have the best functioning app in the world, but if it's not an easy thing to use, no one's going to use it.
Exactly. Correct. So that's what I
Wow.
strive to do, is to make things easy.
Right. That's super collaborative because you have, I'm sure your idea of how things should and will appear, but you also have to make sure that that interfaces properly with the other departments and the functionality. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it has to, we have to align with marketing, align with other stakeholders and investors and stuff. But I have a lot of autonomy with what I do. I've been doing it for so long. The CEO really trusts me to get stuff done, and we have UX researchers to also help us with making sure we're making the right decisions before putting in the time to develop and release and everything. So.
Hmm. Wow.
And
Do you have siblings? Like, do you have any brothers or sisters?
I have one brother. He lives in Los Angeles currently.
Hmm.
But that's it.
Is he artistic also, or that's like your unique skill with him?
No, no, he's autistic actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Got it.
high
Okay.
functioning. He lives on his own. He has a job, but
Right. I was gonna say because your parents are here, so he's on
yeah,
his own and independent. Wow.
he's independent. He has his own job and everything. And they're here. The parents are here because of my kids, and they want to be close to their grandkids. My brother doesn't have a family. He's not married. Doesn't have any kids. They want to be
Hmm.
close to their grandkids.
Wow.
well,
Okay.
I wish my when after the divorce, my plan was to have my mother and my brother move here, and then COVID hit that summer.
Mhm.
And then my mother passed away a little over a year ago. So
Oh,
that whole plan went to hell pretty quickly. But like my father won't even get on a plane. My son had his bar mitzvah, and he's like, "Yeah, enjoy."
wow.
So you should know how lucky you are to have
I'm
them.
very lucky. They help out a lot. Like the kids can sleep. Like they literally walk to their grandparents. They can sleep over there anytime they want. They take them out. They're very active and very loving grandparents, and they love being with my kids. Um, Actually, during Yom Ha'atzmaut this week, I'm actually free because they're actually going to be with them, so I can go do my thing, which is super cool.
Wow.
Wow.
That's Independence Day for Israeli Independence Day for our audience. So you moved here because you said your ex-wife is from Ashkelon, correct?
Yeah,
Is
she
that
grew
one?
up here, and her
Yeah,
parents live here, and her siblings.
got it. You miss LA because Ben has heard this a million times from me. I absolutely love LA. It's like my absolute favorite place. I love visiting there. I haven't lived there, so maybe it's different. But like, do you miss it?
No, I don't really miss LA. No,
I've heard that
I
a
mean,
lot too.
like from what I hear, I haven't been back in a while, but from what I hear, it's not
It's not
like
the same LA.
exactly. So I'm good here,
Ah.
even with the sirens.
Great.
So I saw you want to go a little bit into your meditation and that kind of
Sure.
mindfulness and how you
Wow,
got
Ben,
involved
I'm
in that.
impressed. Wow, Ben, I like it. Ben,
That
I
one
think
that
Ben's
one was
doing
for
that
you.
I was
That
gonna
was for
say
you.
Ben's doing that for me before he gets into crypto or something. Something
I rather
technological.
talk about the meditation more than crypto, to tell you the truth.
Me too.
Uh,
That makes two of us.
So I started my journey with meditation right before or during the process of getting divorced. And I've been divorced almost a year. May 3rd will be a year. I'm actually having a divorce celebration, 1 year celebration on May the 4th, which is obviously Star Wars Day for any of you geeks out there.
Oh
Uh,
man, I'm embarrassed. I didn't know that. I like Star Wars, but I did not know that. So what does that mean? Like now
May
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 the
the
4th.
may the fourth be with you, Yoel.
Exactly.
Come on,
Exactly.
man.
So,
All right.
so meditation. So I got into meditation. I have a good friend that I used to work with. I was in touch with him a lot. And the day that my ex-wife told me she wanted a divorce, I I was like going home from Tel Aviv and she called me and said like, it's this decision I want. I came home and I packed a bag and said, listen, I need to get out of here. I can't be here right now. I called up my friend, my very dear friend Daniel, and said, "Listen, I'm going through a lot of stuff. I got to talk to you. I got to be with you. Can I come over?" It's like, "Sure, no problem. Come over. You can stay as long as you want." So I drive there and we just have an amazing conversation. And he's very, very much into um, meditation, spirituality in a very different way that really got my attention and got my curiosity. So he kind of just like inspired me to start on this path. And I started with going to I went to on a camping trip with him for a few days. And he introduced me to the magical world of magic mushrooms,
Hmm.
which is my first experience ever with a psychedelic. And I had such an amazing experience, very opening experience, very transformative experience. And then throughout the year, I would go to his house, and he's an amazing person that he would actually hold space for people to help people with psychedelic medicine in order to help them get through tough situations. And obviously, I was in a very tough situation where I was going through divorce. I had crippling anxiety. I took sleeping pills every single day in the beginning, and I was just like depressed to the top. So working with him and working with certain psychedelic medicines, I was able to make extreme breakthroughs in in everything in my life, my physical health, mental health, spiritual health, everything. It's just up a notch, up a level. And after that first major experience I had with him, I really felt the connection with meditation. So I was able to sit every day, either in the morning or in the evening, doesn't matter, and meditate for as long as my body says I should be meditating. Sometimes it could be 5 minutes, sometimes it could be 25 minutes. And the whole idea of meditation is to always remember to be in the present.
Mm.
And when you're in the present, that's all you have. There's an amazing um, philosopher named Alan Watts. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of him.
Sure. Yeah.
He's incredible, and I've been listening to him a lot. And one of the things he teaches is the fact that the past and the future are illusions. All we have is the now,
Mm.
because the past only exists in our memories and what we can remember from our past. But when we are remembering it, we're remembering it now, not in the past. So therefore, the past is the now. And then the future obviously is an illusion because it's not happened.
Mm.
How many times have you got into a situation where you think something's going to happen one way, like you're going into a business meeting, you're going to meet with a friend or going on a date or something, you think something's going to happen one way, but it happens completely different
Mm.
because it didn't happen. It didn't unfold. So when meditating, remember to be present and listening to the sounds around you and listening to, even if they're not quiet sounds. There's no such thing as an improper sound. Someone could sneeze or drop something, or you hear something. It's all part of the happening and the noise that's going around you. So once you get into that place of like everything's just happening around you and you're completely and utterly in the present, that's when you reach the stage of meditation.
Mm.
And
Wow.
what does meditation look like for you? Like,
For me, like physically, I set my surroundings up. I have an area where I light incense. I put on this Himalayan salt lamp that's really has good energy to it. I put on calm music, or sometimes I put on more upbeat music, but like with no words and just like really good instrument, something that has different energy. Sometimes I want a calm energy, sometimes I want a more uplifting energy. Depends on my mood. I sit down, cross-legged, hands like this, which circulates the energy within your body.
for all the
Uh,
listeners, he's doing the classic thumb to forefinger
yes.
little
Anytime you see,
om.
exactly. And you just sit there and breathe, listen and breathe. And that's what it looks like for me.
And you got into this for the first time. This was when you went to your friend. That was the first
Yes.
time you ever. Wow, that's amazing. Because you sound like a real pro now.
It's amazing how much you learn in a short amount of time. And it just, when I'm connected to something and I feel a strong connection to something that I really like speaks to me, I want to know a lot about it. And I I I I learn not to judge myself if I feel like, you know, not about not making progress. It doesn't matter. It's just my own journey of what I believe is right for me and what I connect to.
And how do you feel that, I mean, you kind of alluded to the, I'm a meditator as well, but I'm very interested in your perspective. How do you feel that meditation helps you get to that point or get to the where you want to be? Is it just the idea of staying present is the solution to everything, so to speak? Or
I believe that's a very big part of it. It does help to remember to either in the beginning of the day or end of the day to remember to be centered in the present. And quite often we can really um, get all over the place with that's where anxiety comes from. It comes from the worrying about the past, what happened in the past, and also worrying about the future, what's going to happen, and then just setting the time aside to remember to be present and carrying that through your day, and just knowing that you have the power at any point, if your thoughts go this way or that way, to not judge the thoughts and not to like worry about it, and just like, no, I have the power to stay present. I have the power to be centered. So it just carries you throughout your day. And I want to say also that I don't know if I mentioned this before, but when I went to yeshiva, because I got with Chabad, I was very, very religious and Jewish, like Orthodox, for many, many years. I never really connected to it. And I just kind of went along with the motions of like, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this, and I never found a connection. This is the first time that I actually found a spiritual connection with something that I actually am excited about. And it's my own thing. It's whatever I believe is correct in and just being that positive, good, influential person that I hope I can inspire others as well to also find what they connect to.
Hmm. And so now would you say that, so you're not practicing orthodoxy in the way that you did before, is that right?
I'm
Or
not
you are?
practicing orthodoxy at all. Not
Got
in
it.
the slightest.
Were you in the marriage?
Yes, up until the end.
Uh-huh. Wow.
To the end, I decided that it wasn't for me anymore.
Mhm.
And I'm definitely not knocking on religiosity. I think it's beautiful. I think everyone, if you connect to Jewish law or being Christian or Buddhist or whatever religion you are, and you connect to it, and that makes you a better person,
Mm.
that's amazing. I think that's beautiful.
Mm. Did you have a lot of anxiety and stuff, before the divorce? Like, just day-to-day living, the stresses and pressures of raising a family and providing for a family, was that?
Yes,
Mhm.
definitely. I was also a very negative person for a very, very long time. My favorite word was no.
Mm.
Can't do that. Can't do this. Very pessimistic person. That changed this year. I'm
Wow.
no longer this person. I'll give you an example of something that happened today. I was on the train today, and I was coming home from work from Tel Aviv, and I got up to get off the train station here in Ashkelon, and I didn't know where my sunglasses were. And I remembered that I switched seats, and then I left my sunglasses on the table, on the table and on the train. And when I went to look, it wasn't there. And I asked the guy who was there, "Did you see it?" Like, I did see it. The guy who just left the stop before took it.
Hmm.
So my previous self would be angry. How could you steal from me? What a horrible person. Not at all. I looked at the guy that I talked to. I said, I guess that guy needed more than I did.
Mm.
Nice.
That's it.
Wow. That's amazing. So you've been
So
doing a lot of self work and like just very growth oriented and growth minded. It sounds like this. Like you're really taking, utilizing the best that you can in this year to really sort of do the work that you feel that you've always wanted to do or need to do, right, for yourself.
absolutely. Absolutely. I find myself ever since the divorce, I'm a way better father. Kids
Mm.
love being with me. Before I wasn't such a nice person. I was very short-tempered and everything with the kids. And now like they love coming here. We have fun. I talk to them all the time and they just, I just feel like I'm such a better father. I feel like I'm a better friend to my friends. I think I'm a better son to my parents. And um I just think divorce for me made me a better person. Or not, I don't know, made me a better person. I think it kind of gave me the freedom to explore my true potential.
Yeah, yeah, and that's amazing. That's really and it's pretty not taking away from you, but it's more credit to so many of the guys, that Ben and I have spoken to. It's just it seems to be this kind of like turning point. Obviously nobody asks for that in life. Nobody goes into marriage saying like, this is what's going to happen. But when it happens, you find a way that's part of the purpose of this podcast, right? You find a way to persevere, and guys are reinventing themselves and finding, reaching new levels. So that's amazing. Wow.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's great. And I think everyone that's listening, that's maybe going through a hard time or struggling with a divorce, it's in your control completely of how you feel and how you deal with things.
Mm.
It's very easy to blame outside sources. You blame your ex, blame your ex mother-in-law, blame this, blame that. But really, it's about yourself. I have control of how I feel. I have control of how I react to any situation. So I can choose to react in a way of anger or any lower level of emotion, or I can choose to be happy, be accepting, or just be and just not let it bother me in the slightest.
Yeah. I think, sorry, Ben, I think Ben's chomping at the bit. One other thing. Sorry, Ben. There I am apologizing again. But I think that's one of the benefits of meditation too, which is that a lot of what you're talking about in terms of blaming or looking outward, and I don't claim to be perfect in this at all. It's a work in progress, but I definitely see improvement in the sense that it's our ego, our ego mind, our ego consciousness that kind of like wants to blame or look outwardly or just wants to roll along with our conditioning. But part of what I try and work on when I meditate, for example, and I'm a big fan of Alan Watts as well. My son is actually a big fan of Alan Watts, but also Michael Singer, I'm big into Ram Dass, those sort of guys, and just observing the mind. Like they talk, Michael Singer says there's no such thing as a bad meditation. Like a lot of people, the reason why they don't want to meditate is because they think they have to reach this enlightened guru state or something like that, when it's not about that. It's just a matter of, there goes my cat. It's just a matter of sitting down or whatever position you're in and observing your mind. And even if you find yourself distracted, like I am now with my cat purring, you can observe that. Like that's something that's happening and you're watching how you respond to something. So I think like meditation for me, it helps me understand that I may feel or think a certain way, but I am not my mind. And that helps create space before you react. Like what you did with the train, for example. I think because of your meditation and because of your work on yourself, you were able to sort of create that space where it's like, okay, how am I going to react to this situation? Even if it's not conscious, maybe you're almost doing it automatically now, but that's something I think that meditation probably helps you a lot in, right? Would you say?
Exactly. That's beautifully put. Really.
Thank you.
So I have some questions. Number one,
Hi, Ben.
Number one is the negativity. Was that at work as well, or just kind of?
Yeah. It was. It actually, I remember being very negative at work and not really doing well. Not because I wasn't talented. It was just because I was very negative and I was very egotistical. I actually started transforming myself back then, before all this meditation and back in LA, by actually reading Dale Carnegie and reading about how to win friends and influence people. That also changed my perspective in a big way. And as soon as I applied what I learned from that Dale Carnegie book, I actually saw success at work and success with my interpersonal relationship with my colleagues, and also with my then wife, in some areas. But I've always wanted to seek self-improvement and feel what I connected with in order for me to do that, because I believe that it's very difficult to improve yourself if it doesn't come from within. You can have an external inspiration, but if it doesn't come from within, with anything, with working out, with dieting, with anything in meditation, obviously, if you don't want to do it and it doesn't come within, you're not going to do it. It's not going to happen.
Yep, absolutely. And then my other question was, I don't know if you want to get into what happened in the desert, but I'd be very interested to hear about that experience.
Yeah, that was my first experience with mushrooms. What a beautiful medicine. I was there, and my friend, I went with my friend. He didn't take any mushrooms. He let me do my thing. And it was a very, it opened up my mind to different possibilities and different perspective of reality and what actually reality is. And we had amazing conversations about that. And just the idea that what we see in this reality is not the entire reality. It's not the entire truth. And I still believe in God, even though I'm not religious anymore, but in a very, very, very different way than I guess you would in traditional Judaism. I think if you get deep into the Kabbalah, it's more aligned with what I believe. But I also take inspiration. I started to take inspiration from Taoism, Buddhism, not as a practice, just as like a philosophy. But anyway, the desert, being in the desert, and just kind of opening up my mind to really, like, I compared it to there's a door in your mind that you don't even know it's there. When you experience psychedelic medicine like mushrooms, you not only realize the door is there, You have the key and you can unlock it, and you do unlock it, and you open up that door. And that door is always there now, and you know it's always there. When the trip is over, the door is closed, right? It's not necessarily locked, but the door is closed. But you know that you've been there, and you know what's on the other side, so you can access the information, access the wisdom that you got, and integrate it into your daily life. And that's what I did.
What was one of those wisdoms that you got that night?
Oh my God, that was over a year ago. I'm trying to think. I think it was, you know what? It wasn't, I don't remember. It was over a year ago, but I can tell you other trips that I had that I had
Okay.
amazing
We'll
experience.
accept it.
Okay. So my first real not official, but first real like sit down with a psychedelic medicine not in a private room, not in like outside in the desert, but like really with an intention. I came into that session with extreme anxiety. And I was sitting there and I felt a blockage in my solar plexus.
Hmm.
And it just was tight and I couldn't breathe. And then I kind of looked down and I mimed pulling out something from my solar plexus. And I was like imagining this black ball, a like shiny ball in my hands.
Mm-hmm.
And I told my friend, I said, I see a black shiny ball in my hands. And he asked me, what do you think that is? It's like, I think this is my anxiety. He's like, what do you want to do with it? I'm like, I want to get rid of it. And he's like, well, before you get rid of it, why was it there?
Hmm.
So I told him that it was there to protect me. It was there to protect me from being hurt. But, okay, so look at it, thank it, tell it you don't need it anymore, and say goodbye. So that's exactly what I did. I said, thank you for protecting me. I don't need you anymore. And then the black ball crumbled to like a million black balls pieces. And then I felt this like white light going from the bottom of my tailbone all the way up to my head of just clear spiritual clearness. And I haven't experienced that level of anxiety since then.
Wow.
Is
Wow.
mushrooms is something like, what's a safe or healthy amount to do in a given time period, right? Because I can imagine in a powerful experience like that, I mean, people could want to do it again and again and again. Like, is it addictive? Is it something that should be done like once a month max, or
Right.
anything
So it's
about
not
that?
addictive. I mean, any feeling can be addictive. It's depends on your
Right.
personality, but like it's not physically addictive. I would not recommend doing it a lot. I been working not just mushrooms, other psychedelics, and I don't do it any more than I think the closest I did it together, maybe 3 months apart, 4 months apart. It's not an everyday thing. It could really, too much of anything could be damaging.
Mm.
And you don't need to do it so much in order as long as you have a plan of integration between sessions. You definitely don't need to or should not do it so often. The dosage amount, I don't know. I have to, you know,
Yeah, and don't ask Mike Tyson. He apparently eats them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So.
people microdose, and
Yeah.
microdosing is actually okay for daily use because you don't get hallucinations with microdosing. It just I've never microdosed before, so I can't speak to it. From what I heard, it does help people throughout the day without the hallucinations to feel grounded, to feel more open, to have like things look brighter, things look more positive. So it does actually help a lot of people to microdose.
Hmm. Wow. Are there other things that you've done in addition to meditation and the psychedelics, therapy? Is that something that you're a proponent of, getting help from a therapist, anything like that? And you talked about working out. So I'm just curious, like, what else do you find has been, super helpful for you in this period?
Right. Traditional therapy, I'm not a fan of it personally. For me, I did see someone that I think is amazing. He's actually a divorced dad as well. And we had a few sessions. And I did amazing work with him, and he's incredible. Um, so I do think if you connect with a therapist and you think it's really helping you, it's very good. But keep in mind, if therapy is easy, it's not the right therapist for you.
Mm,
If you feel like your therapist, like, oh, my therapist, you can say my therapist, she agrees with everything I say, and
right.
or he always thinks I'm right. That's not good. That's
Mm,
collecting a paycheck. That's not actually helping you. If you're not a wreck after at least one or two sessions, then it's not working.
mm,
I did inner child work that I was sobbing. I did a lot of reflection, a lot of work with just, and I was really just not, it was just, I just had such a release of just crying and getting stuff out. And that's when it helped. That's when I came to a point where, wow, I am an amazing person. I am a good father. I am a great friend. I am a great son. I am this, I am that, and I am, and I am, and I am. And that's that helps me a lot to just being a way more confident person and
mm.
be able to kind of go out there and be a charismatic, amazing person that just enjoy being around, and I enjoy being around other people.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I totally had a similar experience as well. My therapist that I went to, I mean, she just helped me with confidence and releasing so much pent up emotions and energy and whatnot. So I totally relate to that. That's amazing.
It could be hard sometimes, especially after divorce, where like a lot of men's confidence is very low.
Oh my
You
gosh. Woo.
exactly like
Yeah.
I felt. I'm pretty sure my ex-wife will not hear this, but I don't care if she does. I felt at some time, a lot of times in my marriage, like I was a horrible person. Like I was a bad father. That was a bad husband. That was just a cold, bad friend. And it's like, and I've told people this. It's like, yeah, my ex-wife thinks I'm cold. Like, you cold? That doesn't exist. That doesn't make any sense. And I realized, like, whoa, what she's saying wasn't true. So I got over that. And I said to myself, I'm not those things. I am an amazing person. And then, when I have the intention, the manifestation or the intention of what I am, then I manifest in reality. I'm like, oh, I'm actually acting what I actually truly am inside, and not this
Mm,
broken man. I was overweight. I was depressed. There's a lot of things that was during my marriage. I'm not putting the blame on my ex completely at all. Obviously, I had a lot to do with it as well. I choose at this point in my life not to blame anybody but myself. It was my fault that I was these things, and I choose now not to be those things.
mm. Wow, love that. It's amazing. It hasn't even been a year for you. Like, I find that I'm working on so many of these issues that's something that I'm currently, amongst other things, but I'm working on that idea that we choose. It is simple, but that's why it's also so hard.
Yeah,
We really do have a choice, and uh, you know. Uh, I checked myself into a different therapist. The first one I went to was incredible. It just sometimes there's changes in life, and that's something that he's been helping me understand, that you make a choice. Yoel, you make a choice, and I'm happy you're talking about that. It's really important, and it's simple, but it's not easy. Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
Well put.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that choice of being present or focusing on what's happened in the past or what might happen in the future definitely clouds all of that. Um, so I don't know if I meditate, but I certainly, I don't know. My brain doesn't turn off, but I'm always, a lot of people I think just kind of float through life and
Mhm.
they don't think about things. They just go through the motions. Um, so for me, I don't really know what that's like.
Right.
It would be interesting. I don't think I would last that long. Um,
And that's the thing. Even if you want to get into it, you don't judge yourself. if you last 1 minute, that's 1 minute you didn't meditate. And like just to be present for 1 minute, that's beautiful. Do it. Even if you're
Yeah.
not
So
sitting down, lighting incense, lighting candles, and this and that, you literally just sit down, close your eyes, and be present for 1 minute and just listen to the world around you. That's beautiful. Do that.
right. So I know you have that background in photography and videography and things like that. And I don't know about you, but I can't draw. But if I could, I would also be a professional something that draws or art, because my mind is creative. But it never. My mother used to say like her biggest regret was not putting me in art class. But I think in pictures, so people around me need to be careful what they say because I see everything. And two, for a long time, like my mind just sees like I'm watching a movie. That's how my mind thinks. So when I'm watching something going on, my mind is thinking a million different things. And then when I started actually making videos and doing YouTube, and I've been dealing with a camera since the first like digital cameras came out, my mind has always been like when I'm watching like a movie, I'm not really watching the movie. I'm trying to figure out how they got that shot or how this happened. And even, like birthday parties. So I used to work with youth. So I used to plan events. So any event that would happen in the family, I would be making sure that everything would be the way it should be. And getting into it actually was much harder because I saw it like third party, I guess is the best way to. So I don't know if you've had that. Like, it's one of those questions, like I'm dying to ask Casey Neistat once I get him on this thing, if he sees that way also. I don't know if it's just me, or in my mind, anyone who deals with video or photography, like they have like a third eye that's just like viewing the world a totally different way than everybody else. Like most people see what's right in front of them, but this creative visual mind is like back here, and there's a whole world going on in front of us that no one else is seeing.
Yeah, that's amazing. I don't necessarily know if I think like that. I've really actually never really thought about that, but you brought up a good point um about viewing stuff in front of your eyes. Like we as humans, and even I get any living creature, creates their own reality. So you're actually what you view with your eyes is your reality, and you're creating it. I think Hinduism actually thinks of God as the self because of that, is that you are actually creating the world with your senses. Your eyes are turning the sunlight into light. Your skin is turning the molecules in the air to heat and cold. You are creating a reality, which is an amazing, mind-blowing thing that you're doing that. And nobody has ever seen what you've seen and experienced what you experienced through your eyes. You were the
Right.
only one. And that is incredible. That is amazing. So when you think about that, you are all amazing creatures and amazing people that have their own experience and creating their own realities. And Alan Watts says you're all God, but you're pretending that you're not.
Well, there's the same concepts in Judaism that the whole world was created for you.
Exactly.
And for each person, the whole world was created. It's the same theory. It's the same theory, but I actually remember as a kid, till I was like, I don't know, 6, 7, or 8, I thought everyone saw exactly what I saw.
Wow.
And I remember the moment that I realized that wasn't true. And my life was never the same after that.
Well, you have a very advanced mind, Ben, because that is like just to have that kind of realization as a kid and like think that everyone sees you and then realize you have that shock that's an incredible realization to have at such a young age. And that's probably what you said, it was changed your life at such a young age like that. And no, it's something that like as an adult, we're like, oh, obviously, like I'm the only one that sees what I see. But as a kid, that's an amazing insight. And I think that's incredible.
Yeah, a little intense, but yeah. Just imagine, like you're living in a world and you think everyone sees everything you see. We all see the same thing. We're all going around the world the same thing. And all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, that guy can see me from that angle. That guy can see me from that angle. Wait, that person knows what the back of my head looks like. I don't know what the back of my head looks like. That's pretty. It's pretty intense.
Wow. Yeah, that's true. You don't know what the back of your head looks like, and you can't see your own eyes, and you can't bite your own teeth.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't touch the tip of your finger with the same tip of the finger. Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, Ben, you gotta try, and you really gotta try meditating, because if you're a visual person, because I'm not a visual person, I'm a kinesthetic more. Like I go by feel, and that's great. Like like you were saying, Uri, like I don't judge myself. That's how I'm wired. But I have always wanted to sort of get a sense of like a real amazing visualization. I've had some experience with it, but definitely not on the same level as somebody who's visual would. So Ben, I mean, if you're good at visualizing, man, you could have some mind-blowing meditations.
I've also had some horror stories where people have told me stories of what's going on in their lives or what happened to them or what their dream was, and
you're seeing it.
I live it. Like it's up there.
Wow.
So
wow.
Yeah, like I used to, you can tell me whatever you want, just remember that I think in pictures.
I'm very curious to see what a psychedelic experience is for you, Ben.
Oh yeah, I was just thinking.
I feel like I'm living one every day, so I don't know.
So you'd be more intense for you.
I guess. I don't even know. So, was psychedelics anywhere on your radar? Like, was he like, "Hey, let's do this," and you were just like, "All right." Like,
No,
how did you even go
wasn't.
from like this very religious person who lived one life, and then you got a very traumatic experience, and he was like, "Hey, try this."
Yeah, I mean, like the hardest drug I ever did was like weed, which is like not really like it's so common now, like whatever. I was open-minded about it, and he's like, hey, he approached me a long time ago, and he's like, hey, if you ever want to try mushrooms, let me know. Okay, I'll let you know. And it got to the point of that trip where the marriage was rocky, and it's kind of ending. And I was like, you know what? I want to try it. Let's do it. And it it just changed my life. And I've tried other psychedelics. I don't know if you want me to list off everything I've tried, but it's
okay.
each has their own qualities. And I do it I never do it in a party scene. It's not for partying. It's not for anything. It's strictly for self-development and self-growth. And that's and clear intention. I actually started talking about intention. I actually started this 21-day meditation podcast called Creating Intention. And it's every day, 15 minutes. And there's a centering thought, and there is a mantra in Sanskrit that he explains what it means. And it's really amazing to start off my day with that, because it's like, oh, this is my intention for the day. And something happened. I know I'm going on a tangent here, but something happened, which is amazing, that my cousin in LA sent me a link to her son, who's a rabbi of a Torah class that he's giving. And the title of the Torah class was something to the effect of what is Judaism's view on bad luck? So I wrote on the post on Facebook my view on it, that bad luck is putting blame on the external. We create our own luck, and we can, we with our intentions and everything, we can manifest whatever we want. That same day's podcast, he was talking about bad luck and good luck, and had the pretty much same exact answer that I had intuitively. And that was mind-blowing for me.
That is awesome.
So have you learned like any new skills, or like opened up parts of you that you didn't know existed, or that you were just opening up old things that you forgot? Like, I call it recalibrating. That year or two after divorce, when you're just trying to figure out like, where are my feet and where do I want to be next round, or next half of life, or whatever you want to call it. Like, did you just like learn new things, or I see you have hobbies. Are those old hobbies?
Yeah, I can fly and see through walls now, which is really weird. Besides that, I think I actually unlocked my my internal charisma that I've always had that I shied away because I was not confident. I unlocked that. I unlocked my positivity. I unlocked physical skills. I don't know. I mean, like I tried painting, which I'm a creative person, so I'm good at that. I did it once and I liked it. I started getting into fitness a little bit more, but like a little bit yoga, some calisthenics stuff just at home.
Hmm.
And feeling good about that. I got an Apple Watch to make me more motivated for every day, and that was a recent thing that I did. Um, what else? I don't know. I think I noticed I have the ability to inspire others. And I'm at work and I'm talking to people at work about stuff that I've learned and different perspectives on life. People at my work actually pull me aside to go talk privately to talk about what their issues are and see if I can give
Wow.
them advice. And all I do is just really just like listen and just and try to have them come up with their own answers
Got
by
it.
giving little nudges here and there. Actually, the office administrator who is her name is Shani, and I've known her for 3 years. She's been working there almost as long as I have. She calls me Guri. It's her new nickname for me.
Nice.
That's
Nice.
great. That's great. I love
I
that
definitely
one.
don't consider myself a guru. There's so much I don't know, and I look at my friend who is like so knowledgeable of so many different things, and he doesn't even consider himself that. He's still working on it. We're always a work in progress, and just like there's a saying in Judaism, if you know Aleph, teach Aleph, right? So I teach Aleph is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet for those of you who don't know. Uh, so teach what you know. And when you realize when you teach, you actually learn. Like I always go to my friend and we're talking back and forth about philosophy at certain things, and I'm learning so much from him. And then he looks at me, he's like, I learned so much from you. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like you
Yep.
didn't learn. I'm learning from you. It's like, no, we're learning from each other. And because when you teach, you also learn. And I
Yep.
think it's an amazing skill to unlock to realize that like teach and learn it's a two-way street. It reminds me of going back to Alan Watts of talking about opposites. There's no negative without positive. There's no something without nothing. There's no black
Right.
without white. There's always balance. That's the idea of the Taoist symbol of the yin yang.
The yin
Yin
yang
and yang
polarity. Yeah. Yeah.
and polarity. And the world is made up of polarity. Our world does not exist without it. There's
Hmm.
no such thing as something without nothing, and vice versa. So when you realize that everything's a coexistence and everything's interconnected and everything's just like um uh, just what word I'm looking for.
Balance.
Yeah, thank you. Simplest word. Everything's balanced, and like you go through life and like not there's no bad, there's no good. Like
Hmm.
it's all just it's all just different energies, and you can choose to align yourself with the energies that are going to bring positivity into your life, because negative we all know what negativity does.
Yep.
It puts us in a low place. It puts us in anxiety. It puts us angry. It puts us in places that we don't want to be, and we're not our best selves. So if I choose to align myself with the energies that are positive, of happiness, of joy, of love, you're a happier person. And it's you can just see it. And I also noticed that when you practice smiling, and I wasn't always a smiler, when you practice smiling, other people smile too. And
Hmm.
just give a smile to someone on the train that you don't know, and you'll get a good reaction. I met someone on the train, I just smiled and we started talking.
Hmm.
Yep. Yep. No
Amazing.
thanks to COVID on that one, but yeah.
Yeah, that definitely actually refused after a while, I refused to wear a mask. And there was actually a law in Israel. If you said ani patur, which means I am exempt, you did not have to wear a mask.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
You remember that? So
Yeah.
I was just on the train, like I'm exempt, I'm exempt. Okay,
Right.
fine, fine.
Nice. Wow.
Well,
Uh,
Uri, I was just going to ask you also just about because you mentioned briefly about fitness. Like, so is that been sort of like an incremental type of change? Like, are you, did you change like your diet and things like that, or that's kind of been like on the side along the way, or that's like an intense change as well?
Yeah, so I lost a bunch of weight after
Mm,
divorce because of anxiety. I wasn't eating at all,
mm,
and it wasn't healthy, but I did. And then I noticed, oh, I lost a bunch of weight and I look good. Let me start eating healthy and start working out. So I kind of got into it, not seriously, without any judgment. Like there's some days like, you know what? I don't feel like working out and I don't judge myself for it. Or I work out a little bit and that's good enough for me. I got a good burn. I got what I needed out of that and I'm okay with that.
That's awesome. Do you find though do you find that the physical also helped you with the other work that other growth work that you're doing, like getting in shape? Do you find that was a critical part of, your transformation, if you will, as well?
It
Like that.
definitely helps with my self-confidence, that's for sure. When
Mm,
you feel good in your clothes, you feel more confident. Yeah, definitely.
mm,
I think it's physical fitness for men is extremely important to feel because it makes you just feel good. I mean, you don't have to be this like gym buff and like roided out in your mind, but
right.
good about yourself, feel healthy, and I think it does wonders for your psyche.
Mm, amazing. Have you gone into the world of, for this next stage of life? Have you started dating again? Have you gone
Yeah,
into that world? Or oh yeah, oh wow,
yeah,
okay.
pretty much
You don't
right
fool
away.
around. You don't waste time. All right, good. That's awesome. How's that been? If you feel comfortable talking about just in general, like how's that
Yeah, in
been?
general, I mean, like I
You
don't
were
want to get
married for a long time.
I don't want to get into details because I
Of
like to keep
course
my
not. Yeah, yeah.
private. But I did get into a relationship very soon after, like 2 months after I got divorced. It was a beautiful relationship, and I really got a lot from it, and was very happy with it. It ended about a month ago, but
Mm,
now I'm just starting to meet other people, not really concentrate on dating so much, and just kind of letting it happen. If I meet someone, just like not being the center
right.
right now, and just like focusing on my self growth.
Mm,
Uh, but yeah, dating is definitely important for
yeah.
for me. So
How, I'm just curious. I mean, do you work in Tel Aviv, or you don't? Do you work like remotely,
I
or?
work in Tel Aviv 3 days a week, and 2 days a week when I'm with my kids, I work from home.
Okay, no, I was gonna, because we were saying like, there aren't a lot of Americans in Ashkelon. I was just wondering
Right.
what the dating scene would look like over there. I can't, but anyway, yeah. So you're in Tel Aviv a fair bit. Okay, that's cool.
I was just going to say, there's a saying that things don't happen to you, they happen for you.
Hmm.
And that's a lot of what you're saying. It's you can decide what they are, but they're all happening to you for a reason, and you need to figure out what to do with them. So that
Exactly.
was kind of that
Exactly.
concept.
That's amazing what you said that because like you look into something and you're like, why is this happening to me? Like, well, there's a reason. Let's learn from it. Everyone and everything can be a teacher. Your
Yeah.
ex-wife can be a teacher. That's what I learned the hard way from my friend. He told me that I was angry. The last time I was with him, I was angry and angry and angry. He's like, why are you angry at yourself? Like, what do you mean why am I angry at myself? Like, forget about her. You can't control her. You're angry at yourself. Explore that.
Hmm.
So, like, oh, okay. And I realized, like, yeah, I was angry at myself. I was judging myself. As soon as I let that go, amazing. Like I can't control what anybody else does. I can only control what I do.
Hmm.
Yep. It's the key to
Beautiful.
everything.
Yep.
So your kids, and you said your relationship with your kids is the best it's ever been. Um,
Yes, definitely.
what was that epiphany like?
Oh, it's beautiful. I mean, the fact that like I'm actually enjoying time with my kids and quality time with them and be able to, you know, have a great balance of like disciplining them when they need to be disciplined, giving them responsibility at my home when they responsibility of like cleaning up after themselves and being kind to each other, and then introducing them to meditation, which they love, and then
Really?
saying,
Oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah,
Wow.
and
That's
It's the
awesome.
then
incense. It's all the incense.
exactly get some loopy. So, and then it's like, okay, you guys did a great job. I'm gonna go down to the store, get you some treats. We'll watch a movie together, have fun with dad. So, and realize like, oh wow, my kids actually want to spend time with me, and I want to spend time with them, and that was incredible to have that time with them.
That's awesome.
Wow. Do you so your hiking explorations, do you do that with them?
Mhm.
Is that something you like to do on your own?
So it's sometimes with them, sometimes by myself. I've hiked by myself and put music in. I hiked in the national park here in Ashkelon, went up to a secluded area, meditated in front of the sea by myself. And then sometimes I like to go with my kids. And my favorite spot in Israel is I can't go there often, but it's En Gedi. It's
Mm.
the waterfalls over there is so nice. It's like one of my favorite hiking spots.
By the way,
Yeah.
not to get off the kid track, because I think Ben's going to lead into a question that I know he's going to ask you soon. But have you always been comfortable being on your own? Because I find that's also super important, just learning to be okay with aloneness. Is that something you've always been comfortable with, or that's
No,
also part of your
I was very,
transformation?
very uncomfortable with it up until very recently, actually.
Wow.
So that's something I learned to be comfortable with.
Wow. I would love to see the, so we don't have the before picture, but like, it sounds incredible, man.
I'm
Well,
just picturing
I'm on
somebody
Facebook.
crouched in a corner that's twice the size, and
Angry.
no kids there.
Well, friend me on Facebook. I'm on there. You can see. I'll send you stuff. Give me your number, yo. I have Ben's number. Give me your
All right.
number. More
I
than
will
happy to
friend you on
send you.
Facebook. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So
Amazing.
I also know that you're kind of active on social now with your positivity and things like that.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. I mean, I haven't really been that active. I did like one video because we were chatting in the the English
Okay.
speaking group on the divorce group, and I was like, oh, this inspired me to make a video. I haven't really made one since, but I have started to like put my daily mantras on my stories because I just think they're like I connect with it. So like I think it's amazing thing to share.
Hmm.
And anytime something inspires me, I want to share it with people. So yeah, I mean, I'd like to do more of the videos, TikToks about stuff that I learned, but I don't want to feel like it's a job. I want to do it only when I get inspiration to do it.
Sure.
So yeah,
Hmm.
Okay. So far, what I've seen, it's good, and
thank you.
a lot of people do all this work and don't share it. And like you said, learning with a person, you're also giving it off, but you're also getting back. And I think you'll be surprised what feedback you'll get that you were never expecting.
Exactly. I learned a lot here with you guys also.
So, so, so your kids, and I want to get more into your kids, but I don't know. Did you want a big family, a small family? You have 4 kids. That's somewhere in the middle, I would
Yeah,
say. Some.
that's pretty much what I wanted. I'm definitely okay with that. No more kids on the horizon for me. So that's it.
I
Did you
get
talk
it.
to your parents? Because they might have a different opinion.
No, my parents are good
They
with it
they
also.
moved all the way here.
They have 4 of them. They're good. What more do you want?
I'm just kidding. How old are they?
They're 14, 13, 11, and 8.
Nice. And boy, girl,
Girl,
boy.
boy, girl, boy.
Girl,
So
boy,
I
girl.
think we actually need to get our kids together because there's a like super alignment there.
Awesome. Let's do it.
So, one of the things we do on this podcast is we ask our guests to highlight a moment that their too dad to quit moment when they were most proud of their kids or proud of themselves as a father. Just I can even see you thinking about it and your face lighting up. So that moment when your face lights up and you're like, man, I did a dad thing. If you could share
Um,
that.
yeah, I think the only thing that comes to mind right now is my 13-year-old son who has fed off of my change in my character. And I see how he changed himself towards his siblings and towards his friends in a way that he is completely comfortable with himself, and he has tons of friends at school who he perceives to be very immature people, and he just deals with conflict a way of like an adult would, and not a 13-year-old boy. And that makes me very, very proud that he is able to understand what I'm trying to teach him, internalize it, and actually apply it to his daily life. And I think that's absolutely beautiful.
That is
Awesome.
beautiful. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last thing we'd like to leave our listeners with is some tips, some advice for someone who's about to go through divorce, thinking about divorce. We also have 20% of our listeners are female. So it's a wide audience and everybody listens for a different reason, and something you would like to leave for them to think over.
Oh, wow. Great question. I think try their best to go into divorce with positivity and amicability for the children, because they don't want to see two people fighting. And I think during the time of the time of stress and time of like conflict, own up to your end of it, because it's a two-way street. And once you kind of own up to your end and only and put the put your ownership on you, and no, don't blame the other for whatever it is. You could be angry at them, but realize that you have control of only you and not the other person. So do what you can do for you, and do what you can do to control what you want to do. And don't worry about if she or he said this about you. It's not, I told my daughter, actually, when someone's making fun of her, she's like, I was angry at that person for being made fun of me. It's like, okay, is it true? No. So why are you angry? Like, okay,
100%.
and if it was true, now they taught you that you have something to work on. So always look at that. So that could be applied going through a divorce. Try to be positive. Try to be compromise on a lot of different things, just so you can end a marriage in a positive way, or as positive as you can. Obviously, it's very difficult. And put the kids first. And if you don't have kids, then put yourself first, and make sure that you're getting what you need, because you're separating. You should not worry about your soon-to-be ex. You need to worry about yourself at that point. That's what I believe. But with also making sure that you are still a positive, kind person to that spouse that you spend X amount of years with.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you for being here. Before we go, I do want to remind everybody that you can find us on toodadtoquit.com, toodadtoquit on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and don't forget to subscribe to our Clips channel so that you don't miss all the fun tidbits that you can share with all of your friends and family. And we will see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Too Dad to Quit podcast. Available at toodadtoquit.com. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.